Welcome to Inner Swim, a space for anyone called to tune within. If you're intuitive, creative, a deep feeler, earth lover, or a sensitive soul, you'll feel right at home here. I'm Jaylyn, a wellness mentor and yoga teacher supporting women to reconnect with their inner truth, root into their authentic energy, and live in harmony with their nature. So let's pour a tea and dive in. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, friends, and welcome back to the podcast. This is just a kind of fun little podcast talk on, I guess, a wisdom seed or a lesson that I learned over the past couple of years through life. And I've seen this lesson come through again and again in different ways in my life. And it's now becoming like a wisdom seed that is helping me to, I think, mature in the way that I create and call things into my life. So, in essence, the lesson is to first create a container for that which you want to bring into your life. So your creations, your dreams, the things that you want to call in, the people, the projects, the travels, whatever it might be, the work pursuits, whatever, could be creative pursuits, anything. Whatever you're calling in into your life, you first need to create a container for that to land and for it to be held. So, subtle energy it's subtle energy. And for it to become something, everything starts as subtle energy. Our thoughts, our dreams, our desires, they all start as subtle energy. And for it to take form and become something in our outer lives or in ourselves, it could be something about ourselves too. That subtle energy needs to gather and be contained. It needs to be held. It needs to take form somehow. So think of like a vase. A vase holds air or holds water. And so subtle energy is like the air in the water, and the container that you create to hold this dream, to hold this desire, is the vase. So this lesson came through when we were working on, I should say, our house that we currently live in. My partner and I, alongside my parents and his mom, and so many hands who helped us to make this house a home for us. We bought this house in 2023 and then completely renovated it. So from top to toe. And we had no idea what we were getting into, really. I had no prior experience in renovation. My partner had no experience in renovation, so thank goodness for the people in our lives who came in to help, even when we were really naive about the amount of work it was going to take. Those people just really showed up for us, so just reflecting on that. But anyway, painting, breaking up tile, bringing in new supplies, all these things were really new to me. And this lesson started, I think, with the painting. So I would gather the paint materials and say I was in charge of painting one of the walls of the room. I would gather the paint materials, I would gather the tools, and then if I were to pour the paint and roll my roller in it and get everything ready to put the paint on the wall, but the wall wasn't ready to receive the paint, then I would be kind of kicking myself. Or another example, if we were breaking something up, like some material, and say it was like tile or something, and we didn't have somewhere to put the broken tile to keep things, kind of contained, to keep the project going, then we would have to break up the flow and go find a bucket or go find a box or something. Like, I would often be going to the grocery store and asking them for as many banana boxes as they could give me because we needed containers. We needed things to hold the things that we were removing, and also we needed containers, things to, for example, put down a paint roller in between sessions. If we wanted to hang a light, then the place that we were going to hang the light needed to be prepped and prepared to receive that light. If we wanted to paint our cupboard, we needed to first pull out a table and cover that table with paint so that there was space to receive the freshly painted cupboards. If we were just to paint the cupboard doors and have nowhere to place the freshly painted doors so that they could properly dry and settle, then you're stuck there holding a wet cupboard door with fresh paint, and you're like, oh shoot, I don't really have anywhere to put this. And then what do? You don't want to put that freshly painted cupboard door on, a dusty floor when you're renovating, or on your garage floor or something like that, because then you create a bigger mess. So you're kind of just stuck holding the cupboard door, and hopefully someone's around to help you create that place to put it. So this lesson kept coming up again and again, to the point where today, 2 years later, if I'm going to start a project, or if I'm going to do anything, it could even be cooking, I think to myself, do I have the place to put this thing when it's complete? Do I have the container to receive this thing when it's complete, somewhere to hold it? And if we don't create these containers, we're left with a mess, or we're left with a freshly cooked meal with no bowl to receive it, or we're left with a half-baked creative idea with no real bones and structure to see it through, or we're left with maybe a mess in our lives. So the containers are really, really important, and it's very much about having foresight into, well, what will I need to receive this? What are the tools, what are the containers I will need to properly hold this thing that I'm calling in? So I wanted to share that because to me, this lesson is resonant through all our creative projects and dreams again, and all the things that we're calling into our lives. And those containers, they could look like making sure, if we work online, if we're solopreneurs, making sure that we have the proper infrastructure to receive the clients or the students or the customers that we want to call in. Making sure we have the support that we need to do all the admin and all the things that it's going to take to properly contain these big ideas. Because the last thing we want is to call in a big rush of, fresh energy and new ideas. And if there's nothing to hold it, it's like the water in the vase. If the vase is broken, or without a vase at all, the water will just kind of spill everywhere. So eventually these containers, we are like the potters that create the container for our big dreams and for our creative projects. And it's a beautiful part of the process to create that containment. And ultimately, once the container is made, if we've made it well, and if we've made it intentionally, and if we've made it with our proper foresight and, again, intention in mind with what is needed from this container, then the container is made well and it stands on its own. We can place that vase in the room and it holds the water and it holds the air, and we don't have to hold it anymore. We can trust in our containers that we've created to hold our creations, And then we get to enjoy and we get to share them with others. And we get to keep them and we get to store them. And maybe one day we decide we want to break apart that container. It no longer fits anymore. Maybe we need a bigger vase. So then we can give that vase away, let it go, and create a new container. Maybe one that is better suited to what we're up to now and who we are now. So that's kind of it. I was just washing the dishes actually earlier today, and this lesson again comes up everywhere in my life. Like if I'm washing the dishes and then I don't have a towel and a drying rack to put that dish on, I'm like, oh gosh, like I'm just here with this wet dish in my hand and now I've got to go to get the towel and I have to get the drying rack ready. So it's like this lesson comes up everywhere, and it's kind of like don't put the cart before the horse kind of idea. And it's also the blending of subtle energy with form and structure with fluidity, and this beautiful dance between like the future and the present and the past. And again, like that subtle energy, like the water and the air, and the denser form that contains it. Actually, in a spiritual sense, it's said that feminine energy is a container, and it contains the really subtle energies, the spiritual energies, and divine energies, and creative energies. If we think of what a womb is, what an actual uterus is, it's a container, it's a vessel, it's a place to receive and to contain. And in the womb, things germinate and things are able to grow. And so, womb is like a metaphor for all of our outer creations as well. The way life itself is created is a metaphor for how all of our creations are really brought to life and brought to birth. And on the topic of birth, even there, if baby's coming out of mom, we got to catch the baby. You wouldn't want the baby to come out into midair. Normally there's water to catch the baby at a tub, or there's a person there to catch the baby into the arms, or there's a bed. How about a plant seed? The plant seed is the perfect example of a container that holds the precious creative energies of life within its protective shell. How about a plant pot? We wouldn't bring a plant into our house without a place to keep it, without a pot home to hold its roots and to hold the soil and all the nutrients that it needs to live. So many examples in nature, in our lives. The container is everywhere. So this idea of like things coming into form want to be caught and want to be held. Maybe just for now, but that's how it is. And maybe it will change shape. But if you're going through a time in your life where you're maybe dreaming up a storm or desiring and longing for things and yearning so deeply, but having a hard time kind of grounding into your visions or grounding into these aspects of yourself maybe, or projects or work, or again, anything, a relationship. If you're having a hard time grounding into these things that you're calling in, and you're doing everything that you think you can to dream it into life, maybe the missing piece is creating a container to receive it. So maybe in that creative project, it looks like having a place in your home where you can work on that creative project with focus, having a contained space for it. If you're starting a new class, maybe it's having a contained hour of your week, every week, that container on your schedule to hold the dedication to your class. If it's a relationship, do you have space in your heart to hold somebody else? Do you have space in your life, a place in your life to hold another being? So, just something to reflect on. I hope that there's been a little nugget of wisdom here for you that you can take with you. And if there has been, maybe share it with a friend or a loved one. It's always really sweet when we can share the things that sparked something in us. And maybe this is just me talking to myself, needing to kind of ground into this wisdom seed that I feel like I've really embodied through the life experience. But I trust that there's someone else out there who can benefit from hearing this right now, and in your own way, in your own way, receiving this and applying it to your life in a way that feels relevant and tangible and maybe kind of inspiring. So, thanks so much for listening to this. Please leave a review or leave me a comment on the podcast if you feel so called. I would be delighted to read any comments or receive any reviews. And I look forward to connecting with you in the next episode. Thanks, lovely. Bye for now. Thanks for being here and listening, dear one. You can find all of my offerings at innerswim.com. And if you feel called to go deeper into this work, I encourage you to check out intuitive practices like womb yoga, energy healing, yoga nidra, and more. I can't wait to connect with you. I'll see you over at Inner Swim. With love, Jaylyn.